Hello everyone, The Nerdy Steve here, and today I will be featuring a standard Selesnya aggro deck. The link is in the description below. I'm going to talk about the game plan, some specific card choices, and a little bit about the sideboard, and then we'll play a couple of matches. So, let's go. Calling this an aggro deck is a little bit of a misnomer, in the sense that, look, we don't have any one-drops. And it is very, very important to realize that before we play, because it's really gonna we're gonna really have to prioritize getting a 2-drop in our opening hand, or you're gonna probably want to mulligan. I'm not gonna, probably, because I'd never mulligan. But in an ideal world, you're definitely going to want to get a 2-drop. Otherwise, you're going to fall really far behind because our deck is very expensive. So let's get that out of the way first. The deck relies heavily on Kodama of the West Tree, which really works with modified creatures. And so there is a lot of +1/+1 counters going around this deck. So when you deal damage to an opponent with a modified creature, you get to search your library for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield. And that's where a lot of the synergy and power of this deck come from. Because I said before, the deck has a very, very high mana curve. And that is important to realize that, okay, we have a high mana curve, so we need more lands. And this is why Kodama fits really well into that bigger puzzle of how the deck operates, right? So we have Intrepid Adversary and Aspirant, and both of these creatures can modify themselves somehow, right? And again, with Kodama, we want creatures to have counters. So that's a very, very important thing to note, right? We have Bankbuster at 2, and Bankbuster's an interesting card because it doesn't modify things, it uses up a lot of mana, and it's not a very aggressive thing. However, hello everyone, this is Nerdy Steve from the future here, just interjecting. I missed the interaction between Kodama of the West Tree and Reckoner Bankbuster. Bankbuster is modified because it enters the battlefield with charge counters. So on turn 2 you can Reckoner, turn 3 you can Kodama, and then use the Kodama to crew the Bankbuster and attack with a 4/4 Trampler. I knew that interaction because I played with it before. I just, going over the deck, I missed it and made that mistake. So just want to let you know. Bye. Let's talk about Elspeth Resplendent right now. Elspeth Resplendent, the +1 ability modifies creatures, right? It puts +1/+1 counters, another type of counter on it. And that's going to be really, really powerful because not only do we need to modify our creatures, but because our creatures are going to be so big, it allows us, you can give your creatures lifelink if you need to gain a lot of life, vigilance if you want to put pressure on the attack and then block, first strike again for better deals in combat, and, you know, flying for an evasive threat. So that's, like, very, very important to realize, like, oh, you can be a little bit slower here because if you turn 5 Elspeth and modify a creature and give it lifelink or whatever, you can really, really get back into the game. But most importantly, the -3 ability on Elspeth Resplendent, you get to look at the top 7 cards of your library and put a permanent card with mana value 3 or less onto the battlefield. And that's important because, oh, you can Elspeth and get a Reckoner Bankbuster. And now you have a creature that is modified because it has a shield counter, so it will get a land with Kodama. But now you can also find something to draw you more cards. And Elspeth is really, really here because, oh, you can get Adversary or Luminarch Aspirant. You can get a Kodama, which will be automatically modified when it enters the battlefield. Briarbridge Tracker. And then a very, very interesting card, Extraction Specialist. So, you can obviously cast the specialist on its own, right? But you can also get it with Elspeth. And the important and interesting thing about the specialist in this deck, when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 mana value or less creature card from your graveyard, and that enters the battlefield. And that card can't attack or block, right? But if you look at our 2-drops, which are Intrepid Adversary and Luminarch Aspirant, they do stuff even if they can't attack or block. If you have a lot of mana available, the Intrepid Adversary, you can put all the rest of your mana into it and then pump up your entire board. Really, really huge, right? And Luminarch Aspirant will start giving your creatures +1/+1 during combat, right? So all of this, you can see how everything kind of connects into a larger picture. We have Legion Angel, we can get more creatures from your sideboard, which, again, Legion Angel doesn't necessarily really fit into the counters theme of the deck, but sometimes having a big threat that will have trample because of Kodama. So you have a big flying trampler threat if it gets a +1/+1 counter, and that's huge. And then you can get multiple of them over time. You know, you have Wandering Emperor. Now you can flash and modify a creature, so not only will it have First Strike and Trample, it will get you a land. The Wandering Emperor does a lot. It allows you to come back against more aggressive opponents. It's a card that can create modified creatures over time. And then we also have Esika's Chariot, which, again, is not a modified creature, but it creates a lot of creatures. And this deck also has a lot of tokens going around. You can, you know, get copies of the Wandering Emperor's Samurai, a Pilot if you're desperate from the Reckoner Bankbuster, or Clues from Briarbridge Tracker, right? Or even our big mana topper, Emeria's Call, you can copy your Angels. And I brought this up in a previous video, but Emeria's Call, we have 4 of. And that's important to realize, oh, this deck builder put 4 Emeria's Call because we're going to be able to reliably cast it. It is part of our game plan, right? And that's just something to be aware of. We're not just ramping with Kodama for no reason. We want to be able to cast our Emeria's Call to create 2 huge threats that maybe or hopefully can be copied with Esika's Chariot, or given trample with a +1/+1 counter of some sort, and Kodama of the West Tree. So you're going to be able to deal with your opponent by killing them with these really big flying evasive creatures, right? And then our sideboard, we have Archon of Emeria to stop the Runes decks from going off, or maybe the Dragons decks by making them a little bit slower, and they would have to deal with the Archon before they can go off. Skyclave Apparition for aggressive decks, Circle of Confinement for the same. Purse is more interaction for graveyard decks if you need it. And then Workshop. Warchief also creates a 4/4 and is good in certain matchups, maybe where you need to be a little more grindy, right? So that's the deck, and let's go. We'll play. So you know how I said we need a mulligan when we don't have a 2-drop? I'm going to say, do as I say, not as I do, okay? We have Esika's Chariot, which is a really powerful card, so I don't feel too bad, but I feel a little bad. Hopefully the Delver does not flip here. The Delver flip. Okay. And now, we can't even, our 3-drop is going to get countered here. Do we run it into the Disruption? Probably. This is not good, everyone. Okay, that's fine. So one of the things about any deck with Delver is that when it flips, Delver's clock triples, right? In case you didn't know the relationship between 1 and 3. So now we just have to be a little more aggressive instead of maybe potentially waiting out to be able to cast over the Jwari Disruption. Being able to do other stuff, right? But we're not dead yet. Infernal Grasp. Okay. So, do you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna hope our opponent doesn't have a negate here, and I think we want to try and kill the Insectal Aberration while we can. Alright, they did have the negate. But that's why we did it here, to lessen our opponent's opportunities to have something. Shade. Alright. Now I'm trying to think what we want to do. Please don't have another negate. So I want to actually... Let's do this and maybe give it... Lifelink. Our opponent's what, gonna kill it? Probably, maybe? Okay. Our opponent will... Oh, sudden insight, okay. Because our opponent won't be able to kill this Elspeth unless they play a land and activate it. They need something else going on. Oh, that's a Luminarch Aspirant. That's very good. Block.
I won't back down.
Let's...
Show him what you...
We want to give it, what? Flying? Or no, we should have given it Vigilance, right? The good thing here is we get to Eiganjo away the Insectal Aberration. If that's what our opponent wants to do. Oh. GG. The Elspeth was too powerful there. So now what do we want here? I think our opponent... We can bring in maybe a Hearse because we did see the one flashback card. But I don't know what else we want. We like the Snakeskin Veil for the removal. Or anti-removal. And I think maybe we're fine. Let's go. And hopefully we can keep a hand with the 2-drop. But I'm not going to make any promises, okay? Well, we have to mulligan this. Because we can't cast the 2-drop. Okay. I think here... I'm going to get rid of an Emeria's Call. Oh, not that. Don't flip. Oh, that's brutal. Disruption? Okay. Black. Gas. I think I want to draw a card because we really want another white mana so we could potentially Wandering Emperor. I in the deck review, I may have misspoke a little bit. I didn't mean to imply this, but the Bankbuster is also here. Or no, I was wrong. I was wrong. But we get to. It is a modified creature with Kadama. So that's why I make you watch all of the games in this video, so you know you can learn something as I learn it. Now we have a plains. Okay, now the Bankbuster inclusion makes a lot more sense. And that's why it's important to play with decks a little to figure out all the intricacies. And a shade. Okay. Huh. I thought they would have removal there. That was an interesting turn, because if our opponent... Oh no, they couldn't, because they don't have black mana. But if our opponent kills our tracker, we still have Lair that we can activate for 1 to chump the shade. Okay, let's... We're gonna go to our blockers. That and that. Over. They still have blue mana available. Still have blue mana available. Let's see if they have the negate here. Okay. So we'll attack for 4. Intrepid Adversary here. And now we're going to end turn. If our opponent doesn't flip the Delver, Kadama can block because it has reach. But our opponent had the instant on top, so... Oh, and slip out the back anyway. Okay. GG. I think we're still fine. So, I'm gonna drink. And then we play. Mulligan again. We can get rid of the hearse. do that. Then I think we go for the adversary here. Or maybe not. If they Shambling Gas, we Aspirant. Oh, nice Durespero. Was that toxic? Alright, now it's like they mulliganed as well, so... I don't feel too bad. Maybe that was too toxic. GG. Okay, we are going up against the kid. A hand we have to mulligan, because we don't have anything until turn 4. But we have land, so I am tempted. I'm very, very tempted to keep, but I know we shouldn't. This hand actually, I mean, we can Snakeskin Veil the Kadama if we really want to start ramping. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Obviously no 2-drop, but... Oh. Look at our 2-drop, everyone. Which is a modified creature, so we can Kadama crew attack. If our opponent plays a 4/4 though, that'd be very, very bad for us. Or the Esika's Chariot. Now I don't even know if we should attack or not. Maybe we're just supposed to, and hope they don't have anything. Opponent's probably thinking, oh, do I double block? What am I doing here? I'm like, I don't know. Ouch. I think we're supposed to attack there because our opponent will just attack back with the Esika's Chariot, and our attacks don't get really any better, and then we would just be at 4 life. And it would also have to assume our opponent literally doesn't have anything going on, right? And they do. So I think we just have to hope we draw... I don't even know what we can draw. Like maybe an Elspeth or something. Because Elspeth... I don't even know if Elspeth is enough at this point. Maybe we could give it Vigilance. But again, this was something where we mulliganed, and we also just didn't have anything to do. I think we block here. Then we just draw land, so... Well, that was unfortunate. Against mono green, we want Skyclave Apparition for earlier interaction, I think. Do we want Circle as well? Maybe 1 Circle. I'm not entirely sure how we should sideboard here. My first instinct is Maybe we should have gone more heavy on the removal because I think our deck has a stronger long-term game. Again, this is awful. This is much better. We will get rid of the Bank Buster. And hopefully live off the power of Aspirant. Because we have removal now, right? If our opponent only plays a 2-2 here, Aspirant is going to be incredible. Oh, beautiful. So now, look. Kodama, Aspirant will be... It is already modified, but now it deals more damage. And now we get a land. And this not only ramps us and thin out our deck, which is a marginal upside, but the more important thing, we're now closer to an Emeria's Call. We don't have to play it as a land to cast the Wandering Emperor. Beautiful. Oh, this is going to be so good. Look. We will exile the Oddity. We put a counter on Kodama, and we attack for 7. All of our stuff has trample, right? And we get 2 more lands. And we're golden. Now, if our opponent doesn't kill the Wandering Emperor here, which I feel like they might be inclined to do, yeah. And this is fine. Oh. Okay.
I'll be back.
Opponent's at 2. We're gonna first get our 2 lands, and we want to kill the Ubenwald Oddity with the Skyclave Apparition, because one of the ways our opponent could potentially come back into this is with the green fight spell that can gain life and put counters on. So if our opponent goes up to maybe 8 life or whatever, and then kills one of our creatures, and has a big creature, another big creature to block, we're less likely to win. I like Circle of Confinement, but I also don't love it because it gets rid of the tokens in the 2-2 and the 3-3 werewolf and the 2-2 untap snow permanent card. But it doesn't really deal with any of the big problem permanents. So we'll just see how it goes. We have a 2-drop. We don't have any threats or anything, but we can draw into them, even though we won't have a lot of time because our opponent is an aggro deck. Right? But at least we won't have mana problems. Alright, Old Growth Troll, we can still Circle Confinement that, so that's nice. This is interesting. I'm gonna Luminarch and give it a +1/+1 counter. Because our Snakeskin Veil can stop a big fight spell, and maybe if they spend their turn doing that, that's worth it. And also not like we could do anything with the Bank Buster anyway. Okay. Yeah, this is not good for us. we don't want to attack. Now, we have a problem in that we want to Snakeskin Veil to make it a 5/5, but we also want a Circle of Confinement, and we only have 2 mana. So I think what I want to do... So, a Blizzard Brawl, we get to Snakeskin Veil. Let's hope they don't have another piece of removal or interaction here. They could do an instant fight card? No. Alright. This being a 5/5 is really, really good. Free combat, because now we don't have to worry. Yeah, like, we can take this too. That is so fine. No blocks. And we also get to draw a card now. Oh, no, we don't, because we only have 1 mana. I got way too ahead of myself. Asika's Chariot. So now I think we kind of want a Circle of Confinement. The Old Growth Troll. We're going to do that tapped. And then I think we put counters on the Aspirant here. There you go, because this can still block. Oh, they got their own Chariot, okay. Still fine. Opponent has 1 card in hand. So now we get to draw. Oh, and now if this dies, we get a big extraction. We could do... If we do the Intrepid Adversary and put counters on it... It... Like, now when it fights an opponent's card... It will probably kill it in the process, unless it's Blizzard Brawl, which makes it indestructible. But we are gaining 5 life now. When it blocks, which is good. Our opponent, now this becomes a 7/7, and I think we're dead to it. We were hoping they wouldn't draw the land for the Uvenwald Oddity, but maybe they're gonna play around something. Okay. We can use this Aspirant to crew this Bankbuster. The Bankbuster and the Adversary can double block that. Oh, wow. Huh. Now... They didn't actually... I don't think they actually had a particularly wonderful attack. And that's probably why they didn't. I don't think we have a good attack here. But they might go all in on the Lair of the Hydra, and our Wandering Emperor will be able to do work. If we put another counter on the adversary, though... ooh. We could have given it first strike. Alright. Now it is indestructible. Indestructible does not stop exile. I think our opponent has a good attack. They don't have a good attack if they're afraid of the Wandering Emperor. So let's go. And see what they have.
Anyone who harms my people must contend with me.
It was a snakeskin veil. So we don't gain the life. Are we dead here? If that blocks there and that blocks there, we go up to 14, we're dead. If that blocks here, we take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Do that, we take 12. And we gain... I'm doing my math. So we're taking 12, but we will be gaining 6, right? So I think we're fine. That's 12. Yes. Beautiful. Whew. Oh wait, no, I don't need a crew. I wanna... And look. Our specialist can get back a Luminarch Aspirant. I think I meant to give it, we'll just create the 2/2. I think I may have meant to give it another +1/+1 counter, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
Protect the people.
Six, 7. We can... our opponent can't kill us? I don't think so. All of their cards do have trample. Okay. Pass to block. I want to... do that. And crew there. block. Reckoner on that. Chariot on that. That. GG. Math is for blockers. Okay. We have a 2-drop. But no green. And all green 3-drops. So, look, beautiful. I hate that I want to get rid of the Elspeth, so I'm not gonna. I'm gonna get rid of the Specialist. Again, Specialist is okay with the Aspirant. It's one of the only cards it combos with in the deck. However, if I want to get the value from the enter the battlefield of the Specialist, my Luminarch Aspirant needs to die, and we can't guarantee that, so I think just doing the Luminarch Aspirant on 2 and 3 is absolutely fine. We just have to hope it works out. Our opponent could have a lot of different removal, and that's no good. And with the Kumano faces Kakazan, when it transforms into the creature, if our Aspirant dies, we can't get it back with the Extraction Specialist because it will be exiled. Not that we knew that, but that is an interaction that would have made keeping it much worse. No block. I think I want a Kadama here. We can put a counter on the Kadama to make it 4/4, which is really, really big. And I think we want to... I don't know how much we want to make the Luminarch Aspirant a 4/4 or a 3/3 there. We could have cast the other Aspirant in our hand instead of Kadama, which would have made the Aspirant a 4/4. And we know a lot of the direct damage spells in Standard deal 3 damage. So the difference between 3 and 4 is fairly big. But I think I just wanted a really big Kadama. And now I think I want to give the Kadama Lifelink or Trample or whatever. Wouldn't have mattered. Against Mono Red, I think we want the Circle of Confinement, because the way they win is by being very, very aggressive. I think we can take out maybe a Briar Bridge Tracker and 2 Bankbusters. While it being a 4/4 is great, it's nothing on turn 2, right? Maybe we should have brought in the Workshop War Chief, because if we also get to 5 mana, so we'd probably take out the Bankbusters and everything. It gains its life, it will trade for a card, and then create another really, really big blocker. So that was probably something I should have thought a little bit more. So if we go to game 3, I'll probably sideboard that in. But the plan is to not even go to a game 3, so... let's hope I don't show you correctly how to play the game. One, two, three. Again, nothing on turn 2, which is really, really bad against the aggressive deck, right? But I'm gonna keep it again anyway because I'm a bad person. And look what we drew. I'm such a good person. But this will be really, really good. If we draw another land within the next, 2 or 3 turns, we have our entire curve. We have a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, and a 5-drop. And that is basically as good as it can get. Our opponent missed a land drop, which is a shame. Because I'm assuming if they didn't draw land that turn, they would have conceded. And I wouldn't like that. Alright, that is a hopeful initiate. They do not attack, which I think I agree with. We're gonna Kodama here. Not do anything, and then say go. Ooh, Kamano. What I'm thinking during our turn is we're going to do a very aggressive Wandering Emperor play. We're going to cast it during combat, during our turn, to give a creature +1/+1, which will modify it so we get another land with the Kodama. And then that leaves us up to Elspeth the following turn. Our opponent attacks with both, which I'm fine with. We will trade here. Take the 3. But
Now you've done it.
it's modified. We get another land, which will be a Plains. Our opponent, if they want to get rid of the Wandering Emperor, will have to send the Initiate at her. And then that leaves us free to attack with a modified Kodama to get another land. And then we can figure out what we want to do. We can Extraction Specialist back the adversary, and then we get to pay 2 mana for the enter the battlefield, and that will pump up the Kodama and the Specialist. Maybe we Elspeth. It really depends what our opponent does here. That is very interesting. They're not killing the Wandering Emperor?
I'm not impressed.
I have a feeling... Okay, there we go. I was like, I have a feeling that can't be right. I can Elspeth and give it +1/+1 and reach or something. But what I'm going to do... Or +1/+1 lifelink or flying. Do it, we'll get a land. The Plains. I'll play that. Then I want to Circle of Confinement the Hopeful Initiate. We don't have to worry about anything. Getting our creatures out here. So now, our next turn, we can Elspeth plus the Elspeth on anything. And we have Eiganjo mana backup to deal 4 damage to something. I'll block there. So I'm gonna Elspeth. Do you know what? I want to give it a +1/+1 counter and Vigilance to it. So it's Vigilance and Lifelink. We're dealing 2 modified damage to our opponent, so we're getting 2 more lands. And now we can double Legion Angel next turn if we want to. And we have Eiganjo mana because it will only cost 2. Since Kodama the West Tree is legendary. And right now we're in a decent spot. I'm assuming that's gonna kill the or put the counter on the cavalry, so now we can't kill it. But we can use a Ganjo to save the Elspeth. Okay. So what, our opponent didn't attack, so we'll give Kodama flying?
Wind.
And GG. I just wanted to say thank you for watching me play some Selesnya Standard Aggro. The deck was really, really fun. I was surprised how well it ended up working. It does a lot of really cool things. Elspeth Resplendent is just one of my favorite cards in the format. I think she's really, really fun, and I think she'll eventually develop a better place, maybe after rotation, into the metagame. But she's just really, really great, and how she works with Kodama of the West Tree, almost ensuring that you'll be able to get advantage of the Kodama is really, really nice. Not that you necessarily need to ramp more when you're at 7 mana, or 5 mana to cast her, but it just worked. The deck was really, really good. It is powerful. Any deck with Luminarch Aspirant always has the chance to just really overwhelm anybody who stumbles, and this deck can really, really use that to your advantage. So, I had a great time with it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, you should totally like, comment, or subscribe. That really, really helps. And you can also watch me stream Magic the Gathering live at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. And again, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, wherever and whatever you are. Does that make sense? Oh well. Bye.